day, I don't give a damn about what the Giants thought about Daniel Jones. I don't care about how much the Vikings wanted to retain his talents to stay back alongside J.J. McCarthy and figure things out. There's one thing I take away from the Colts investing in the Daniel Jones this offseason to compete with Anthony Richardson. And that, to me, is downright disrespectful to Anthony Richardson. A-Rich, as he enters year 3, as he, again, coming off of a year where he was benched, where he was ridiculed. He had that awkward moment at press conference where he admitted he pulled himself out of a game. Like, so many ups and downs early on in this dude's career. And you're telling me that they're bringing in Daniel Jones. And when you pay a guy $14 million at quarterback in the NFL, yeah, you want him to play. That's not you don't sign a guy for $14 million for 1 year and he's a backup. He's a bench player. In fact, when we look at the annual per year values with quarterbacks, and we went down that list, and it starts at 60 again with Dak, and you go all the way down to a lot of the starters. Like, the Colts are paying Daniel Jones more than the Raiders paid Gardner Minshew last year.
They're paying him $14 million for what they allege is motivation, trying to get the best out of their current investment.
So let's find out. Because there's a lot that's going to come out of this. Let's find out, because the former Florida Gator quarterback, Anthony Richardson, is entering year 3 of his career. What that means is, at the end of this season, the Colts have the option to actually accept his 5th-year option, which would guarantee his 4th year of money, and it would guarantee a 5th season, and then they can work out a long-term extension. I'll give y'all some statistics and numbers very soon here about the regularity in which that has happened over the past 10 drafts with top 5 picks like Anthony Richardson. Is very telling stats, and might I tell you, very few quarterbacks, way less than you would assume, actually do end up signing an extension with their team. But let's go back to why this happened. Why the Colts let Flacco obviously go and sign Daniel Jones this offseason. Let's hear it straight from the horse's mouth, no pun intended. Chris Ballard, GM of the Colts, in February. I believe this was Combine time or no?
February 25th.
What, February 25th.
Yeah, that's Combine.
Combine time. Chris Ballard up at the microphone, and he tells you what his plans are when filling up that quarterback room.
We want to create real competition. I think it's good for the team. I think it's good for Anthony. I don't – like when we drafted Anthony high knowing it was going to take some time, all right? And we knew there's going to be some hiccups along the way. And – It's I know we all want a finished product right now. I do. You do. Fans do. We all do. But I think as he continues to progress in his young career, us adding competition, I think will help up everybody's game.
They said they brought in, again, this was Ballard before he made the move. He said, we're going to add to this quarterback room some competition. We're going to add to this room somebody who can fuel some inspiration behind Anthony Richardson. As we want to get the best out of him, we also want a competition because we want the best available quarterback to be playing for us because we think we might have a playoff roster. So I get that, right? That sounds good. Chris Ballard, hey, you speaking my language, brother. I love a little bit of competition. Iron sharpens iron. And also maybe you bring in a veteran, and Anthony Richardson might be able to learn something from a brother. And then today, we get the news that they brought in Daniel Jones. They brought in Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, who people call him Danny Dimes now, and it's more satirical than it is actually a compliment or a nickname. Like, the guy has thrown absolute pennies since he's gotten into the league. And there was nothing that we saw out of last year that would tell you not only is Daniel Jones worth $14 million in a given season, but also that he should be a person that should be competing with a top 5 pick 2 years into his career who you hope is the future of your franchise. So to me, it is the ultimate level of disrespect to Anthony Richardson, who has probably in the first 2.5 years of his career probably suffered the most disrespect of all time from a franchise that actually drafted him and invested that heavy of a pick in him. Like, what the hell is going on in Indianapolis?
But not all disrespect is unwarranted. Like, if you play football at a low level in the NFL, so much so that you get benched for Joe Flacco in 2024, and you see here and there better quarterback play from Joe Flacco in 2024, isn't disrespect warranted?
Yeah. Not disrespect, but maybe a pivot from the franchise.
But
right?
disrespect, like, not personally, but I don't respect your level of play at this position as much as I did before the season.
Here's the thing, though. There's a difference between feeling that way and making a savvy move to bring somebody in that you think that, again, they can actually compete. They can actually move the needle for your franchise. Maybe somebody that comes in with a lot of experience who can be a mentor. Like, that's kind of what Joe Flacco was last year. That's what they had in his rookie season with Gardner Minshew. Those are applicable levels, especially when you assess what Anthony Richardson was coming into the league. That was an applicable amount of, all right, we don't respect your game enough. Here's somebody to actually refine the edges. What the hell is Daniel Jones going to do for Anthony Richardson?
But aren't the Minshews and the Flaccos of the world good at what they do in terms of not rocking the boat but still being there because they're not threatening? So are you saying that not because of the person at hand, but because of the amount of money he got paid in Daniel Jones is threatening to Anthony Richardson?
They're paying Daniel Jones more money than they're paying Richardson, which, again, out of their control. Richardson's on the third year of his rookie deal. But they're also paying him more than what you would pay a backup quarterback in 2025. He'll be the highest paid backup quarterback in the league. That's what they paid him for. And again, I say that in just because he's not going to be the highest paid backup quarterback in the league. They're paying him as if they want him to be a starter. We talked about Justin Fields' contract. Justin Fields with the Jets. He got 2 years, $20 million per year for the Jets, and he's younger and has shown a lot more, actually, when it comes to talent and production in the league. Daniel Jones
producing, not a playoff win like Daniel Jones. No.
But produce as a court. Be honest with me then. If you really feel like Daniel Jones is a better quarterback today than Justin Fields, then why the hell wasn't he out there actually getting serious looks from other teams like the Jets for a contract to be their starter for the next couple of years?
I'm pulling his strings. I do think if given the two options, I would go with Justin Fields.
Daniel Jones is a guy who, in his peak year, at his best, when Brian Daboll was able to craft up a very, very unique offense that was able to squeeze the most out of DJ, they made the playoffs. They actually got a postseason victory because they had the opportunity, I would say, to play the Vikings and Kirk Cousins, who, again, if you want to win a playoff game, might I suggest playing against Kirk Cousins? Might option. I suggest, that's a good dude to go up against, especially as an underdog. You're like, oh, yeah, sure. They got the better record. We'll whoop their ass. It's disrespectful for you to even make Kirk Cousins a favorite over me. That's disrespect. But Daniel Jones, even in that season, do I have to go back through his stat line? Do I have to remind everybody how bad he was, how stupid of a decision it was for Joe Schoen and that franchise to re-up on Daniel Jones?
Yes. Give me some spark notes of Daniel Jones's. The last we saw of him, so what it looked like in the Daniel Jones experience with a first-round receiver.
Yeah, the year was – I'm not even talking about last year. I'm talking about 2022, his best year. His best year as a Giant when they won a playoff game, 15 passing touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Now, if he had 15 touchdowns, C-Cat, I'm guessing you're thinking, oh, he must have missed a few games. Yeah, get hurt. You get hurt. Maybe you sat out a couple games because you made the playoffs. You had to bye.
Give the man some benefit of the doubt. He is a dual-threat quarterback with his legs.
He played 16 games, 3,200 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And if you want to give him credit for the rushing in 2022, he did score 7 touchdowns, 708 yards. It's fairly productive, but that wasn't the reason why the Giants were winning. Nobody other than the front office of the New York Giants, who are now, again, on their last life. It's like, remember how the video games in the arcade, when you lose that last life and it's continue, and you yes or no? They're not even on their last life. They're at the stage where it's continue, yes or no. And literally their owner had to say in the middle of last season, yes, we'll continue. One more time. One more life. Insert another coin. That's where Daboll and Schoen are because they decided to commit to Daniel Jones, which, by the way, we're talking about disrespectful moves and times in which you were disrespected at work, like Richardson is being disrespected by the Giants, bringing in Daniel Jones to compete with him.
Colts.
Excuse me, I keep saying the Giants. Again, the Colts bringing in Daniel Jones to compete with him. How about how much disrespect Saquon felt that Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll looked at that 2022 offense and said, man, yeah, Saquon's cool. The difference is the guy we need to lock up and make sure we have for our future is Daniel Jones.